I'm Paul McDade, an actor, an editor, and assistant editor working in the TV and film industry in Los Angeles, and this is my sister.
I'm Liz McDade, a huge Columbo fan and small business owner living in Santa Cruz, California. And this is Trenchcoat Cigar Peugeot Wandering with Columbo. In each episode, we'll bring you a little Hollywood history, glamour, and behind the scenes as we walk you through Columbo, one of America's greatest TV detective series. Yes, and tonight or today, whenever you're listening, we are discussing Season 2, Episode 4, Dagger of the Mind, which originally aired November 26th, 1972. And our drink and snack, as you know, every episode we have a drink and a snack inspired by the show. And tonight it's beer and fish and chips.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, tell us about your fish and chips. You sent me a picture and it looked like professional fish and chips, I gotta say.
Yeah. So the fish is from Whole Foods. It's frozen. It's gluten-free.
Nice.
It's Starfish is the brand, and it's pretty good. St. John, my wife, she made like a dip for it with mayo and a little non-fat Greek non-fat yogurt. Gorillo's pickles she chopped up, and she put some dill, Worcestershire, and some of the malt vinegar. And she made, so the fries are okay. I forget, it's another, something frozen. And the beer is actually the best beer that I've ever had that's gluten-free.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's from the UK. It's called Green's Beer. And I believe the guy who runs the company or started it, he found a Belgian professor whose daughter also had celiac, who came up with it. So the whole factory is all gluten-free, and they make several different ones. So I'm drinking the Endeavor Double Ale. And the blue one, I forget what the blue one is. The blue one's my favorite. That might be the pale ale, I think. Mm-hmm. But they're strong and they're good. Like I've had the Glutenberg and some other stuff where I think still could have gluten in it. Like it's not 100%, but this is 100%. So I usually don't have the ones that are not 100%. So what about you?
So my fish and chips are some homemade French fries. So I just I peeled a potato and I put it into, fry shapes, tossed it with olive oil, salt, pepper, and I baked them at 400 degrees. And then my fish, I gotta admit, my fish is a little sad. It's frozen fish sticks. But they are sustainably sourced. They have like sustainable seafood certification because I try not to eat a lot of seafood unless it's sustainably caught in a sustainable fishery.
Yeah, what's that label?
Oh man, I wish I had written that down. It was at my local health food store in the freezer section, and it has like a big certification on the front of the box. So,
okay.
But they're tasty. I don't eat fish sticks ever, but these are not bad. These are not bad at all. And then as far as the beer, I am having a St. Archer Tropical IPA. Brewed with mango and passion fruit. This is from San Diego, California. And it's pretty tasty, I must admit.
Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers, Paul.
We can actually see each other this time, where we usually just do audio.
I finally upgraded my internet service, so we're not just going through our little copper phone line, which we were doing for years. So now we can see each other. All right. So let's move on to our letters from listeners. So we have a couple of letters to share tonight. One is from Marty, and he actually has a correction for us, which we always appreciate. So Marty pointed out that in Lady in Waiting, there's an exterior shot of the office building where the company gathers for a board meeting. And we thought it was on Ventura Boulevard in Encino, which that might have come from IMDb. I'm not sure where I got that.
That was me.
Oh,
I was looking at an image of the bench.
Oh.
And the bench had an ad for Encino or something, but we were doing it during the podcast. I was just looking.
Oh, okay. I just assumed it was me. Well, this building is actually at the corner of Wilshire Boulevard and South Macelin Avenue. So thank you, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
And anyone who wants to Google map that, Wilshire Boulevard and South Macelin, it's Masselin Avenue.
Yeah, and we have another letter we got from Mark, and Mark says, I'm an old Columbo fan that watched the original series when it originally aired. I must admit, despite the numerous times I've watched the episodes, I always seem to catch something new.
Yes.
And I would have to be in line with that. I can watch like the Dagger of the Mind, the one we're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching it again today. I didn't get a chance to see all of it, but I was seeing little things, or maybe I had forgotten. It was just as enjoyable as it was the first time I saw it a few days ago. I probably saw this one though. I kind of remember some of this.
Yeah. No, I am the same way. Every time I watch a Columbo, I notice something new. Even the ones that I will watch multiple times. Sometimes I watch and I'm kind of distracted. I'm like cooking dinner, you know? And so there's little moments that I don't always notice. But yeah, thanks, Mark and Marty, for writing us. And if you want to write us with a correction or just a reflection on Columbo and what it means to you, we always love hearing from you. You can email us at trenchcoatcigar@gmail.com.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this show, Paul. So, quick summary. A wealthy producer of London theater shows is accidentally killed by a scheming husband and wife acting duo who then move his body to his home to make it look like an accident. And Columbo is in town in London to consult with the Scotland Yard, and he notices some oddities at the scene of the accident and sort of gently pushes the investigation towards the actors. So there's my quick summary. And why don't we get into the weeds here, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the theater. The opening scene is of the Royal Court Theatre in London. It's the actual exterior of that. It was actually the exterior shots were actually filmed outside the Royal Court Theatre. This theater has been in a handful of other movies, but nothing really notable, nothing that was a huge success. And the interior scenes of the theater were filmed on the studio in Los Angeles. So Nicky, the husband of the acting duo, pulls up to the theater in a little 1962 sports car called a Morgan Plus 4, which I had to Google. By the way, there is a whole website on cars in movies, which I did not know existed. But if you have a question, what car is in what movie, there is a website that includes all the Columbos and all the different cars. I think it's called IMCDB, like Internet Movie Car Database.org. So they're the ones who helped me figure this out. It's a really cute little British sports car, which was popular. And there was actually a reboot of this car in recent years, like starting in like 2018, they brought this car back. So there's some newer ones out on the road. But anyhow, so Nicky, the actor, pulls up in his car, comes into the theater, and in this scene, we learn quite a bit about Nicky and his wife, Lily, the two actors. And Nicky comes in kind of sleazy toward a woman, the director's assistant. Her name is Miss Dudley. And this is a little sub-storyline that kind of pops up during this episode. and he appears to be drunk, although it's hard to, I'm not really sure if he's acting drunk or if he was really drunk. And we learn that he and his wife are scheming Sir Roger, who is the producer. He's the money behind the show. So they're scheming him to get him to produce this show and future shows as well. And I did want to point out that, our last podcast episode, we interviewed David Koenig, author of Shooting Columbo. So if you haven't heard that interview, you might want to listen to that. And his book has some details about this episode, that there were a couple of scenes from the beginning of this Columbo that were actually cut because apparently they had so much footage they couldn't include it all. So the very first scene was supposed to actually be a scene of the actors in this play. So they're putting on a performance of Macbeth, which, includes these three witches who sort of see the future. And the opening scene was supposed to be the three witches sort of foretelling the future of Macbeth. And then there was also a scene that was cut where Nicky, before he shows up at the theater, Nicky goes to see a spiritualist named Angus, and he asks whether or not this play is going to be a success. And Angus says that it will be. And so there was supposed to be a little bit of back and forth between Nicky and Lily here about what did Angus say about the play. So it's a little bit, disjointed because they had to cut that out of this first scene, unfortunately.
They did a good job of covering that up because I didn't think anything of it as far as the movement and the dialogue and stuff, but I would have loved to have seen that scene because also when I think he throws the table up, he's so excited that he's going to have a successful play after years of, not really making it big. Mm-hmm. And then the card lands on the hangman. Oh, yeah. But they cut that out. But yeah, and it's funny because Richard Basehart never quite had the huge, people knew him from a lot of different things like Irwin Allen's TV show Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, I think the name of it was. Mm-hmm. It was very popular based on the same book and movie. But he was so good at doing voices, like accents and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that, they would have that into the script for this actor.
That is interesting. Yeah, I was wondering about him. I didn't look him up at all, but I was wondering, what kind of career he had.
Yeah, he had a long career. I would say he's a very successful actor, and he went after the roles that he wanted. I know in the beginning in the United States, they didn't know how to categorize him or pigeonhole him, but he didn't want that. He loved doing plays, Shakespeare, I believe. Mm-hmm. But he liked to do different roles. He didn't want to do the same kind of stuff. So I think he never really tried to go after the leading man necessarily. Mm-hmm. But he worked with Fellini. He did two films with Federico Fellini. Yeah. And Giulietta Messina, Fellini's wife and, the star of some of his wonderful films, she introduced Basehart to his wife. I think it was his second wife. His first wife, I believe, died of an illness. And then his second wife was an Italian actress. But yeah, Basehart is in La Strada. And that's a phenomenal film. It's very moving. It's the first film to win the Oscar. For Best Foreign Film. It was the first foreign Oscar ever given.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. That is a very moving, wonderful Fellini. Fellini has so many. I love Fellini, but that one is great. And then he did another one with Fellini called Il Bidone. That one's great. Nino Rota does the music. He has a lot of the same people. One of his writer friends helped write that one. And that one had an American actor from All the King's Men, which I didn't realize. But yeah, Basehart, I think, is a very, very strong actor.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering if he had a thing about Shakespeare because of the way he delivered his lines, not only when he was on the stage, but then there are moments in this episode where he's quoting Shakespeare as well. And he just does such a really wonderful job. And he's just so, completely into that sort of character, that Shakespearean. I just wondered, I wonder if this is what he does. Is this his thing? Because he's so good at it.
Yeah, he narrated a lot of films in the latter half of his career was doing a lot of voiceover narration because of his wonderful deep voice, and you could tell he's having fun because he's doing a good job. But there's also sort of John Williams, the guy who owns the theater, calls him a ham.
Yeah,
and there is a certain hamminess to him throughout the film.
Yes. Oh, yeah. One other thing I wanted to say here before we get to the murder scene is just a quick summary of the play Macbeth. I don't know if you know the plot line, Paul.
Not very well. I've tried to watch like Roman Polanski's Macbeth, and I may have watched a play, on campus somewhere in Alabama or something. I can't remember. But I don't recall a lot of it.
Yeah, same. So just for any other listener who doesn't know Macbeth, basically a very brief summary is that 3 witches tell Macbeth, who is a Scottish general, that he will be king of Scotland. So he hears this news. He tells his wife. She encourages him to assume the throne. So Macbeth kills the king of Scotland, becomes the new king, and then he ends up killing more people because he becomes paranoid. Civil war erupts. I got all the summary from Google, so this is not my, I didn't read and summarize the play, but basically civil war erupts, Macbeth gets overthrown, and he dies, his wife also dies. And in this episode of Columbo, Nicky is playing Macbeth, and his wife Lily is playing Lady Macbeth, the wife. And apparently, again, this is from Shooting Columbo, but we probably could have assumed this. Apparently, the story of this episode is roughly based on the same plot of Macbeth, but instead of there being a king, there is the producer, Sir Roger, who gets murdered in order for Lily and Nicky to maintain control of their play, basically.
And to get the play produced, she's sort of,
yes,
as we find out in a minute here.
Yes. So that's sort of what's happening on the stage. And as we see in this beginning of the show, Sir Roger shows up to the theater without being noticed, parks outside, slinks in through the back door of the theater, and he confronts Lily and Nicky about being manipulated by them so that he'll produce their play, because Lily has been showing a romantic interest in Sir Roger and pretending it's authentic when in fact she's just trying to use him for his funds. So Sir Roger's finally figured this out. He confronts them and a fight ensues. Lily's necklace is broken, and Nicky and Lily accidentally kill Sir Roger with a jar of face cream, apparently, which I just don't understand how that would kill somebody, but apparently it kills him.
It looks like a cue ball.
Yeah, it does. But then when I was rewatching this, they mention in a later scene how it was her face cream. It was like a little jar of face cream. But so they put his body into a trunk and they go on to their dress rehearsal. And that's kind of the beginning. Is there anything from that beginning before we drive out to the countryside, Paul?
Yeah, I liked John Williams. I had mentioned him. He was in the Dial M for Murder Hitchcock movie where he was the inspector trying to question Ray Milland. And he's the one that stepped out the door and said, "One more thing."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wait, which character is John Williams?
He's the one, Sir Roger Haversham.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's John Williams. But yeah, I liked him having an emotional scene here. He's upset that she didn't sleep with him. He doesn't say that, but he said you had a headache.
Right. Buys it.
But I almost wished that he had another scene or something, because in Dial M for Murder, he's so good. It's a good film based on a play, but I wanted more of him. And I was great to see him upset, in his acting. But I feel, like we've mentioned before, and everybody who's worked on the Columbo shows talks about there's no time for, rehearsal or anything. So, it was, you could tell it was, he's good, but it's, probably a couple takes or 3 takes or, maybe not a lot.
Yeah.
Because Peter Falk's not in the scene.
Right. So what's the point?
Yeah. They're like, we're in and out.
No, I agree. That's one of the reasons this isn't one of my all-time favorite episodes is that the characters don't get a ton of time to develop who they are, in this show. And so for Sir Roger, we barely get to know him, It would have been cool to see him with Tanner back at his mansion or, some other moments.
That would have been good.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's take a drive, Paul. We're going to go out to the British countryside here, and we're going to go for a ride in Sir Roger's 1960 Bentley. You might recall that there was also a Bentley in Greenhouse Jungle, but it was in 1962, and it was blue. So I think they did splurge on renting a different Bentley. So they go out to Sir Roger's house to, Lily and Nikki drive out to Sir Roger's house in Sir Roger's car with his body in a trunk. And
it's so huge in the back.
It's crazy. It's like, I'm sure somebody would have noticed that. But so the house I was convinced that this was some amazing manor, outside London, but it's actually a Beverly Hills home. And you might know this already, Paul. It's called Greystone Park and Mansion. It's in Beverly Hills. 55 rooms in this mansion. It's 46,000 square feet. It sits on 16 acres of land. And when it was built in, let's see, what did I write down the year? It was built early 1900s. It cost over $4 million. So in today's money, that's about $60 million. So when it was built, it was the most expensive home in California. And it was built by or for the Doheny family. I didn't do a deep dive on that. But you can visit this house if you're in Los Angeles. You can visit the gardens in the exterior area. You can reserve the house, the inside, for special occasions, like if you want to get married there, or if you want to film your YouTube yoga channel videos there. It rents for about $2,000 an hour.
Whoa.
Or up to $18,000 for a wedding to be held there. And actually, I think $18,000 for a wedding venue is probably not that outrageous, even though that's a huge amount of money just to rent a room, a space, for 7 hours. And I did want to say that this house was in The Big Lebowski and The Bodyguard.
Oh, 2 good movies, Liz.
I know. The Big Lebowski is one of my favorites. That's a movie that Elliot loves too. So the two of us can actually watch that together because he doesn't usually like to watch TV or movies. But the interiors of the mansion were the interiors of the Lebowski mansion, and they were the interiors of Rachel's mansion from The Bodyguard. And I don't know if you remember this, Paul, but the outside of Rachel's mansion was featured in Death Lends a Hand. So that was another Columbo.
I thought I recognized connection. It. I do, yeah. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so that's Greystone Park. We might have to, next time we visit you guys, we might have to make a little trip to the gardens. I think it's free. You just park and just walk around and look at all the fountains. And
Really? It's free? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. The outside.
Right. But the 16 acres of land, you're saying?
Yeah, or whatever's open. I'm not sure how much of it's open, but that's what I think I saw online. Don't quote me on that. Don't show up to the Greystone Park and Mansion and say, Liz promised me this was going to be free, because I might be wrong. Anyhow, so this is where they go to stage the accident scene. So Nikki and Lily bring Sir Roger into his home. I guess, Tanner's in the butler's quarters, so he's asleep for the night, or at least out of earshot for the night. So they try to make it look as though Sir Roger fell down the stairs, and that's how he died. So it's kind of a short scene, but I wanted to talk about the house for a minute. It's a really beautiful home. And I'll talk about the interiors a little bit more in an upcoming scene because you can't see it that well. It's nighttime and kind of dark. So, all right. Well, Paul, it's time to pick somebody up from the airport. I think you know who.
Mm-hmm.
Someone special's coming to London.
Columbo's wife.
Mrs. Columbo, finally. That's the big twist. This episode is all about her. No. It's Columbo. It's our good buddy Columbo. And the exterior, there's a quick exterior shot of Heathrow Airport, which is the London airport. But then the rest of this was filmed in a studio. Sorry if you can hear Pumpkin in the background. She probably senses a squirrel. And in this scene, Columbo is coming into town for, he's an invited VIP guest to Scotland Yard, but he has lost his luggage. And this is a scene, I think it's supposed to be kind of funny, but it's a little bit, I don't know, it falls a little bit flat in my opinion. It has a very strong studio feeling to it. Like, it's very gray and staged. Although there are some cool suitcases, I will say. There's like a cow skin colored suitcase, and his suitcase is like these weird purple flowers, and there's someone with a red plaid suitcase. So that's kind of fun. But this is a little moment where we learn that Columbo is supposed to be picked up by Scotland Yard because he's a big time VIP guest, but he's lost his luggage and they haven't connected with him. So there's a little bit of miscommunication about who he is.
Yeah, the scene, it totally is that way. But I love the scene actually when the actress named Fran Ryan, she's the I recognized her. She's been in a ton of like Stripes, Pale Rider, The Long Riders. Just looking at her IMDb. But he opens her suitcase, and she's like, "Just get away from me." Oh yeah. But yeah, the airport men talking, you can hear the echo of the studio. It doesn't sound contained. Doesn't sound like it has a ceiling. The fact that they're not really going through the suitcases or checking them in also hurts it. Yeah. The main airport guy who kind of gives Columbo a hard time, he's great. Like, I love their interaction. But I do think that this could have been much stronger, but it has that, let's turn a room into an airport room. But Peter Falk is so wonderful. He's just like, I'm sorry. Like, I love the scene. I thought it was good. Except for the room, the whole set's not great.
Yes. I guess that's what stood out to me. It was just kind of the set and the sound. Yeah, you can kind of tell when there's a nice sound, a nice like natural, quote unquote, natural sound to the scene where it's just more believable. But in this one, it doesn't come across. But anyhow, so Columbo does finally get picked up by Scotland Yard. And now he is going to head into London, into the city. And there's a funny scene where he sees a parade of the British Royal Guard. And he asks his tour guides to pull over. He really wants to take some pictures. And he, it's funny because he's like kind of frantic and jumping and trying to get these photos.
I love it. I love that scene.
It's also not his usual character. Like he's normally like way less energetic. I mean, I should say physically less energetic. So it's kind of a funny.
I think it fits. He's got his brother's camera. He's in London. This is Columbo. Yeah. He's not in the States. He's not in Los Angeles. Yeah. I mean, this guy doesn't really leave Los Angeles, right? Maybe to visit relatives or something. So, and his reactions and it truly, I've never seen him. I think when he does meet someone very famous, it seems like it's here and there, or someone who's supposed to be well known in these episodes, he does put on this kind of like, wow, oh, it's him a little bit. And here, it's sort of like that times 10. And you could tell that these are all non-actors watching this real parade. I love it.
Yeah.
It's like The Fugitive with Harrison Ford, where they filmed that iconic scene where he runs into the St. Patrick's Parade, and those are all non-actors.
Oh,
that was like Harrison telling Andrew Davies, let's go and film this. We don't need to tell anybody. Let's just do it. And occasionally you see some people react like, oh, wait, that's Harrison Ford next to me.
Yeah.
But they cut it well enough where you're just into him escaping Tommy Lee Jones. So it's similar that way. It's very smart to do that. I prefer to see that than them set up a scene with actors like Terminator 2, where you have a scene in a mall where you have a ton of actors who are extras.
Yeah.
And there's some good extras, and it's fun just to watch all the actors perform. Or Minority Report, where they have this scene where Tom Cruise is running around with the psychic woman, and they're hiding behind balloons, and you have all the actors. And here there's a certain sense of feels real, but you also know it's not real. So it's like a weird cross, between that. I know they did more of this in the 70s and 80s because of, getting permission to film in big cities. So this was great. It was, I didn't remember that if I've actually seen this episode, but that's so much fun.
Yeah, it was definitely like very refreshing, different kind of moment for sure. Yeah, The Fugitive is one of my favorite movies, Paul.
Oh yeah.
I could watch. Oh my gosh, it's so good. That parade scene, so good. I could watch that movie.
That's a perfect storm. That movie, that director getting together with Harrison Ford, and that there's so much you can say about that film.
Yeah.
That so kind of budget.
All right. Well, let's go back to Columbo in London. So after the parade, he gets taken to the new Scotland Yard to meet, I forget if it's Lieutenant or Sergeant Dirk, who is the Scotland Yard liaison. And he actually he's going to show up in a future episode of Columbo called Troubled Waters as the purser. He's the purser on the ship. And he does a really great job in that one too.
He's in the Titanic too. The movie that's
Oh yeah, that's right. I couldn't remember. I've seen that movie once many years ago, so I don't remember him at all.
Same here.
I definitely remember him.
Same here.
I remember him from Troubled Waters. Yeah, he does a really good job in Troubled Waters. I thought he did a really good job in this episode too.
Yeah.
So Dirk and Columbo go to the scene of the pretend accident because Sir Roger is related to Dirk's wife. And so this is where we get a much nicer view of the Greystone mansion. And I want to point out there's not a ton of fun costume stuff to talk about here, but Dirk has a really sharp blue suit and a navy blue tie with birds on it. He looks really nice. I did want to say like whoever decided, I didn't even look at the costume. It's probably one of our trusty.
Yeah, it's Grady Hunt.
Designers. There we go.
Yeah, Grady Hunt did good with that one. I really like that too.
Yeah, he did really well. So Dirk comes across as like a very sharp dressed person. And
his raincoat, it's more ironed, and he always keeps it buttoned up.
Yes, and it's white. It's really nice.
And he has another one later on. You see with like a thick collar later towards the end. Yes, Paul. Look at you. I didn't see, Liz. You're rubbing off on me. I am. I'm rubbing off on you. You and Edith Head. As I wear my sweatpants and sweatshirts, I can still appreciate the glamour here. Anyhow, so in this scene with Columbo and Dirk at the mansion, we get a better sense for how beautiful it is on the inside. There's tons of these grand stone archways and lots of these like warm Persian/Oriental rugs all over the floor, really wide staircases, large fireplaces with big, stone mantel tops. It's just really grand. So I would encourage anybody to check out the images
or the scenes?
The checkerboard floor.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of, like, Terrence Malick had a film about Pocahontas's letters, or the man who wrote Pocahontas wrote to her. It's called The New World, and they chopped the film up, or he chopped it up and the studio chopped it up. I like a lot of that film, but there's some scenes like at the very end where you see an Indian, sort of, it's like a vision scene. It's very weird. But in a lot of films where they go to real locations that are old, you'll see the checkerboard a lot. Mm-hmm. And I read somewhere that the checkerboard is also symbolic of, if, depending on what you believe after you die, what happens to you, but that the checkerboard is symbolic of the coming and going, and that we do go on, that we do come back. Oh. So it's sort of like a portal, very interesting to think about, though. But it's always in these places of royalty, and if you think about the game chess, it's like one of the greatest games, and it has that whole, power of the mind aspect to it. But yeah, I love seeing checkerboard locations on floors. I did this little exercise from a book that I had read, and I got like a camera, like an instant camera where you have like 12 or 24 pictures you can take, and you just buy it at the grocery store where the candy is, maybe, or somewhere nearby. Mm-hmm. So anyway, in the book it was saying, the one that was talking about the idea of the checkerboard symbolizing this idea of us existing on and on, and most people not believing it or having very different views about it. But the exercise was to, whenever I see the checkerboard, take a picture of it and see how the week or whatever goes. And so when I went overseas to Spain for our honeymoon, I did this, and it was really fascinating because we came back and all the black and white photographs I got were all different. But the last photograph that was left in the camera was this hotel we went to that was along the coast here, like going towards Santa Cruz. Mm-hmm. I forget the town. It's like Santa Cruz. It reminds us it's right near the beach. It's very cold, but beautiful, with mountains and big trees. And we got this place. It was kind of pricey, but it was real cozy and tiny. And the bathroom had this amazing checkerboard floor. And that was my last photograph. Yeah. So anyway, it was just kind of a fun, weird exercise.
That's awesome, Paul. We'll have to come back to checkerboard floors and do a little mini dive. And
the checkerboard can be anything. So if you want to have fun with the little camera exercise, so like I would see it on in Madrid, I saw it in the window of this store, and it had this strange sort of it wasn't a jewelry store, but it was high-end gifts, and it was like the strange ball that was just checkerboards. And another time in Madrid was this girl who had a checkerboard jacket, so I snapped a picture of her jacket. So it was fun because it's kind of like you just not know where it's going to pop up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that.
That's cool. Checkerboards. Yeah, listeners, send us a checkerboard photo to our email. All right, so there's awesome checkerboard floors and lots of other amazing things in this home. And we meet Tanner in this scene. Tanner is the butler, Sir Roger's butler. And, this is our first scene with beer also, I want to point out, which is why, we're having beer tonight. The maid brings the local officer a beer. And so we meet Tanner.
And he's busted.
He gets so busted.
And Columbo does a whole look at him as he's walking upstairs, which to me has a wee bit of judgment.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you always didn't understand about the one episode where the woman was so mad the whole time.
Oh, yes. The
Greenhouse Jungle.
Greenhouse Jungle, yes.
Because if you notice, the first time the handsome guy in white comes out, whose son I
Yeah.
met, Columbo does a whole turning of his body.
Yeah. He's like, what?
Which, in a way, is a sort of a judgment, right?
It's absolutely judgment. You're right. It's a good point, Paul.
So, anyway, sorry.
No, it's a good point. I didn't even notice that Columbo was judgmental in this scene. I did not catch that.
It's when he's walking up the stairs.
Yeah.
And it's not as bad in this one as it was in the other one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's more subtle. Well, I did want to point out that Tanner the butler is played by Wilfred Hyde-White. This is a little trivia from IMDb. Apparently, Wilfred Hyde-White had a lot of outstanding debt to Britain's, essentially their IRS, and so he was not allowed in the UK. So all of his scenes could only be shot in Los Angeles. He was kind of the phrase on IMDb is he is a tax exile because of his outstanding earnings to the British government.
I wonder if he disagreed with that.
Yeah, who knows? But he reappears in The Last Salute to the Commodore.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him from Buck Rogers in the 25th century. I mean, he did a lot. I've seen The Third Man, My Fair Lady. But yeah, he is superb in this episode.
Yeah, he's really good. He's a really strong actor for sure. So in this scene where there, supposedly it's an accident, Columbo notices a first edition Alice in Wonderland book has been left, wide open, like completely open on a tabletop. And he was saying, that seems weird. That these books are really expensive, right? So I had to look, what is a first edition Alice in Wonderland book? Paul, do you have any guess how much a first edition Alice in Wonderland would cost?
Back then? Like when 1972?
I mean, today. Like if you had...
Oh, gosh. At least tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands.
$2 to $3 million.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so apparently the very first edition of Alice in Wonderland, there's only 22 known copies in existence, and they went up for auction at valued at $2 to $3 million a few years ago. So yeah, so I bet if you owned one of those books, you probably wouldn't read it, you probably wouldn't touch it, and you definitely wouldn't leave it face down on your coffee table.
But would you have it out like that?
No, you wouldn't even have it out. Okay, well, maybe you would if you were this guy. Maybe if you were Sir Roger and you lived in a 55-room home, you would actually enjoy your precious books. All right, well, let's move along here. So Columbo, we sort of established that Columbo's suspicious, and now it's time for Sir Roger's, it's like a memorial sort of, it's not exactly his funeral, but his coffin is there in the theater on display, and Columbo and Dirk go, and I guess it's like a viewing. It's like the viewing part of the memorial service. But Lily, the actress, and Nikki are there, and Lily is sobbing very loudly. And Columbo starts to let on to Lily in his Columbo way that he has some concerns about this case. And Lily starts to get nervous. And so after Columbo leaves, she talks with Nikki about the fact that it might have been that the police suspect it might have been a murder. And I was wondering how much of this scene is based on the play Macbeth. So like I mentioned at the beginning, the writers wanted to roughly base this plot line on Macbeth's play. And so this scene is a little bit, I mean, in my opinion, it's not super necessary. It kind of goes on longer than you might expect. But I was wondering if that was because maybe they're trying to convey some moments from the original Shakespearean play between husband and wife.
They don't realize that it's considered.
Yeah, but they realize that it's under consideration, that they're going to be reevaluating it and doing an autopsy.
But only because Columbo tells her he is a police officer, a fireman, because he's talking to her for a while and she just thinks he's a journalist.
Yeah, but then she eavesdrops. I don't know if you saw this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to introduce, how do you introduce that they discover that the police are looking into it? So that's why you'd have the scene, right?
Yeah, but then the two of them Lily and Nikki go and chat about this for a bit.
Right.
And that scene seemed like unnecessary. Or maybe
the scene after this?
Yeah, the scene after this where Lily and Nikki are talking, the two of them. Anyhow, it's not that important, but I was just like, I wonder if they're trying to bring in some of Macbeth here. And that's why we're having this moment between husband and wife that we don't really totally need. This is one of those things that we talked about. I can't remember if it was in Short Fuse or something else, but sometimes there is, I think it was Short Fuse. Sometimes there is a lot of explaining, of telling, right, of the story, and just showing the story. And so there are a handful of moments in this episode where there is some explaining that's happening to the audience, like between characters. They're kind of explaining more than I prefer. I like more when you show, don't tell,
Yeah. Well, there's a certain humor and warmth to their portrayals throughout the film, and I think it's the director Richard Quinn. He did like 3 of them. Richard Quinn.
He did 3 Columbos?
Yeah, he did. I've seen Sex and the Single Girl, Paris When It Sizzles, and It Happened to Jane. And they're all good movies. They're all fun. They're all very well balanced with the good characters and the bad characters. And this director, he brings us a ton of humor. I mean, Columbo's funny, and a lot of stuff throughout, but these villains, there's a certain humor to them.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's always doing the Shakespeare lines and he's like, well, why did we do this? No, you did it. No, I did it. Because in that scene, that's what starts to happen. They start blaming each other for why it happened. So it takes out some of the brevity of murder, of real villains. And I don't know. I would say that's more the director than Levinson and Link and the
writers.
Jackson Gillis. Yeah. Because this was Levinson and Link story. And it's a lot like the John Dixon Carr was one of their favorite writers. And I started to read during COVID, when COVID first hit, He Who Whispers. And it reminds me a little bit of this in terms of setup, with the gentleman's club that they go to and different characters. So I just kind of jumped from the humor to John Dixon Carr. But
no, I think this might be the scene where, or maybe it's a later scene, but like going back to what you're saying, that there's a lot of humor between the couple. She complains to him. She says, well, if you had only taken that part in that Agatha Christie play, we would know what the inspector is looking for. That's his inspector. That's his title. What Inspector Dirk is going to try to find on the autopsy or whatever. And he says
that rubbish.
I couldn't have taken that role. Are you kidding me? Yeah, these two. Yeah,
it's kind of like the Murder by the Book guy saying, you should read one of my books, Columbo. You might get some good ideas.
Yeah, exactly. No, I like your perspective, Paul, because I think you have a more positive view on this episode than me, and so you're helping me see it in a little different light. Like when in my opinion, I'm like, oh, let's just wrap up these couple scenes, please. Like, but yeah, you're right. Like, they're nice little moments of comedy. It's, they just have an accent and slightly different vocabulary, but it's the same, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, they, you know, like jumping forward to the wax museum, when she sees John Williams' wax head, she's like, ah! You know, and it's so funny. She does it just right.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yes, of course. And he turns the head, and then the head falls down. I mean, and like just throughout, Columbo trying to eat, and then the autopsy guy comes starts showing images.
I love that scene. Poor Columbo.
It's filled with, you know, the butler, Wilfred Hyde-White. He's always looking at him straight in the face. Yes, that's how he always sat, or, you know, well, because we didn't care about his glasses because we were more concerned that, you know, our loved one just died.
Dead body on the floor. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it's and if you've seen one of those movies I just mentioned, like It Happened to Jane, Jack Lemmon has these scenes where he's in love with Doris Day. Doris Day's husband died, but he's become like, you know, he loves her kids and stuff, and they're good friends. But there's a guy journalist who starts to like Doris Day in It Happened to Jane, and Jack Lemmon has these great scenes where he's reacting to the other guy staring at the girl that he loves, and you could just tell it's just very funny. So it has a lot of, you know, or the Sex and the Single Girl with Natalie Wood. That one's not as, It Happened to Jane was a little stronger, but that one's good too. But there's a lot of that's got Tony Curtis basically playing himself, making fun of himself. So this movie has a lot of this sort of playing with the role in a way. It's exaggerated, you know, and it's much lighter, even though there's, you know, these people are doing really awful things.
Yeah, they're really awful. Well, we'll put links to we'll include the titles to those movies in our show notes. So if people want to see more work by this director, we will include that in our show notes. All right, well, let's move along here, Paul. So you kind of already mentioned the next scene. Columbo is touring London again, and then he goes out for tea. And like you mentioned, the pathologist shows up with lovely photos of the autopsy, as well as a little vial of fluids from the autopsy that he has in his coat pocket. So poor Columbo doesn't really get to eat a lunch. And then we have a next scene back at the mansion where Nikki and Lily have showed up to check in with Tanner about a book that is missing, according to Nikki. He says, I loaned Sir Roger this original copy of Macbeth by this famous British actor, Irving. Yes. So they're trying to complicate, Lily and Nikki are trying to create some kind of a backdrop for how this murder might have happened. Now that they know that it was a murder, they're trying to create, you know, a ruse that would point the blame somewhere else.
A thief was looking for the famous Irving book.
Yeah.
Or script.
Exactly.
Or book, yeah.
Yeah. And then finally it's time for a party. I mean, what good is a Columbo without a party? Although I guess we don't always have a party, but there's a party. Lots of grand outfits with sequins and silver, silk clothes, shiny clothes, and they're all gathered around the actors in the dressing rooms after opening night of Macbeth.
Okay, Liz, what was your favorite?
My favorite outfit?
For that party scene, yeah. Did you have one?
Well, there was a woman there was a man wearing a silver turban, which was pretty amazing. And then next to him was a woman in a shiny, like pink and silver sari, which was pretty awesome. It was kind of like, London's always been a pretty international city. And so in this scene, that is reiterated. So I think that's probably my favorite. It's like a very brief glimpse of that fanciness.
My St. John, my wife, she loved the one with the woman where you could see her back. It's like a yellow outfit, and you could see like with two holes in the back of the dress showing her back. She was like, "That is cool." She didn't say that, but she really thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, there's some cool outfits here. And I had a couple notes about the angle that this director took. He's kind of looking down on the party guests, and the party guests are kind of squished together. So I would have appreciated like a slightly pulled back view so you could get a better look. It was hard for me to see all the outfits in this scene because people were kind of squished and you're kind of looking down on them a little bit. You can still see them and you still get the feel that this is a bustling party, but I would have loved to have a little more time and space to enjoy some of the cool outfits.
I think with those green rooms or the actors' rooms, not green room, but the actors' rooms, those are pretty small. Like I've only done a few plays, but they're not. You typically see just the makeup mirror, room that could fit flowers in one person or two people, so it's usually just they each have their own room. So I think it would have been hard to show it realistically without revealing the stage that they're really on, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just like a Liz thing. Like I like to get all detailed on the outfit. So it's like, I don't think it detracts from the story at all. That's just for my personal, preference. I would have liked to, soak the costumes in a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, actually there is a shot where you can see like a rail, and it does look like it's in Basehart's room, and it's a wide shot, but the camera moves in quickly, so you don't get to see it very much. And probably the direction, they could have had people. I do believe the frenzy of everybody wanting to talk to the main star. Mm-hmm. On the few rap parties that I've gone to, that had the well-known actor, it sometimes could be that way a little bit. I mean, that's like, I'm just talking really like one or two shows. So I think that's what they were trying to convey, because you have all these different women walking up to him and saying something, "Oh, you were lovely." And then occasionally you see the person who is the costume person putting up the stuff, walking in front of the camera and then hanging up the clothes. I think they did a good job. The second time watching it, you can see it's a little more stagey. Mm-hmm. But Columbo's so wonderful, like just falling, like smiling ear to ear with her and like trying to talk to her and trying to talk to him, saying goodbye, even though he's going back and forth the whole time.
Yeah.
I think the first time it worked stronger. The second time I can see more of like the director and whomever telling him, "Okay, some more people come in now,"
Yeah. No, it's a cool little scene. I mean, it's and especially, like you said, as the night wears on, in this moment, Columbo starts questioning Lily and Nikki back and forth, and to the point where he's the last guest at the party.
Yeah, the editing was good here, I thought.
Yeah, it was really good. And he comments how it's remarkable how in sync their story is, how, most people never remember the same thing. Most people never remember an event in the same way. There's slightly differences, and these two remember it really well. And he says, and then he leaves. He's like, "Well, you two did just a wonderful performance tonight." And it's like a double meaning, right? Because he's talking about their show, but also he's on to them. So he's like, your performance as,
And she comments. She's like, "Oh, I can't believe he said that."
So good. So good. Okay, so Columbo closes down the night. He's the last one to go. And finally, Nikki and Lily get to leave. They bump into Joe, the stage door manager, the guy who works the back door. And Nikki realizes that Joe accidentally took Sir Roger's umbrella on the night of the murder because Joe had come in to repair the heater and he had set his umbrella near Sir Roger's. So then Nicky has to he's got to nick the umbrella from Joe, and he follows him into the pub, buys him beers, plays darts with him, and finally is able to snag Sir Roger's umbrella and head out for the night with Lily. And Columbo bumps into Joe. I'm not sure what Columbo was doing while Nicky and Joe were playing darts, but Columbo's been lurking about, and Columbo bumps into Joe as Joe is leaving the pub.
I think he was looking for him, but he obviously didn't know to go in the bar, or maybe he was going to go in the bar.
Yeah, but where was he during that hour or whatever that Nicky was playing darts and drinking beers?
Getting dinner.
Okay, that's a good point.
He hadn't eaten lunch, remember? He tried, so they cut that scene out. I think David can't even mention that.
They cut that scene. So after his dinner, apparently, he bumps into Joe and learns that Joe just lost his umbrella. And then Lily and Nicky have Sir Roger's umbrella in hand. They want to return it to Sir Roger's home and get Joe's umbrella. But when they show up at Sir Roger's home, they learn from Tanner that Joe's umbrella is now at the Wax Museum with some of his other things. This feels like Shakespeare, right? This one foil after another. So now they have to go to the Wax Museum in the middle of the night, and they have to break in to get Joe's umbrella and swap it for the real umbrella. And this is that moment that you mentioned where they see Sir Roger's bust, and she screams.
Real quick, was the bar scene, that was a studio scene?
Yeah.
That one looked real. That looked like a real pub.
Yeah, and everybody was smoking cigarettes in there.
Yeah, I really like that scene. I love Fenwick. Is that his name?
Is that Joe?
The stage door guy?
Yeah, I didn't look him up.
Hey, Arthur Mallet. He was an American. He was a British guy, but he moved to the United States to get work, and he was in Mary Poppins. Walt Disney supposedly loved him, so he had him in other Disney stuff like The Secret of NIMH. He was in Halloween, the John Carpenter movie.
Oh, creepy.
Yeah, he was the graveyard keeper is his title. Oh. But if you can find a webpage dedicated to him, and he's like Lon Chaney. He's like Robert De Niro. He looks different in all of his roles.
Oh, cool.
Or the images they show.
Yeah.
That dude is good. I mean, I really like. Now I wish I had seen some of his films.
Is he still alive?
Actually, he died in 2013 at age 85. Mm. But I loved him in this. He was so funny.
Yeah, he's good.
He was so good. When he's just like, telling Columbo, he's defending these people he doesn't really know. Yeah. Which is so common, when in terms of if someone's kind to us who we, like you hear that a lot. It's like, oh yeah, yeah. Robert Wagner's really nice. He said hi to me or whatever. Yeah. And they could be really nice, but it's just, he embodies this sort of thing. Right. He's to a fault, the greatest stage door guy, Right. But I loved him, and he got mad at Columbo, like, get your hands off me. I'm not telling you anything.
I love that. It's like, don't touch me, or whatever he says. I love that.
And then he ends up, telling him everything. Yeah. Even though he's like, I'm not telling you anything.
Yeah. He's so good. He's so good. All right. So let's move along here, Pablo. Okay. So they have the umbrellas. They swapped. Lily and Nicky escape the Wax Museum, which they have broken into through a window. And then Columbo shows up with Inspector Dirk and the head of the museum and Tanner to inspect the umbrella, because Columbo was convinced that they have the wrong umbrella. But obviously now they have the right umbrella because of the break-in. But we are moving in towards the end here. And Columbo is super disappointed. And then we move into the next morning this is one of my favorite moments because I kind of like these like fancy nightgown, big fluffy bed scenes with the, champagne and whatever.
You're talking about 2 episodes, Liz. That's it.
What? Are you kidding me?
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You know it better than I do. I'm just teasing you.
Yeah. No, there's more to come. More fancy nightgowns to come, I promise.
Don't worry, Paul.
Don't worry. There's more. No, well, I feel like one of the things I love about Columbo, which I always say, is some of the glamour. And although there is tons of glamour in the mansion, it comes across differently because it's like this old money, sort of lifeless space, whereas the home of Nikki and Lily is like they actually live there. There's the 2 of them. There's just a little more life in that space, a little more energy, and that feels more glamorous to me, even though it's a tiny little space. But anyhow, they're in their bed, they're reading reviews of the play, and they're so excited. They're drinking champagne in bed. It's a really sweet scene. Like you said, Paul, this is one of those moments where the director is like, the 2 of them as a couple, they're just, it's really fun to watch. And then Tanner shows up with croissants. And so that was one of our snack possibilities was champagne and croissants, but we are having beer and fish and chips instead. There's way more beer drinking than champagne drinking. And in this moment, Tanner explains that he's on to them, right? He knows about the umbrella. He did not mention it to the police. He will now be their employee. And so this throws a big wrench in their plans. And this really puts the screws into them in a bit, in a way that now they're going to have to do something about Tanner, unfortunately.
When I was watching this today for the second time with St. John, she said, the first scenes with Wilfred, she said, "Oh, is he part of the plot to kill the guy?" She had this whole sense of, mainly because he was so indifferent and counter to Columbo, So it, in some ways, he could have been like, we don't see him again, and that would have made sense because let's say he didn't care for Columbo, or like, what do you think that we don't? And been a good, honest person. But here we see this other whole side to this dude.
Yeah.
When he comes to their apartment.
Yeah, for sure.
Tanner
laying it on the line here. This is the fatal flaw for a lot of people, where they figure out what the murderer has done. They confront the murderer thinking that, well, yeah, they're a murderer, but they're not going to murder me. No, not true. Don't do it, Paul. Don't confront a murderer, okay?
No, yeah. To gain willful employment?
Yeah. So there's another moment of Columbo looking around the city, but the next major scene is Lily and Nikki have decided they have to kill Tanner. Nikki's having second thoughts, but Lily insists. And Nikki shows a little bit of his crazy side. This sort of, he's like shouting and yelling random things. But he does it. He gets into the car with Nikki with a bike on the back, and he's going to bike from the country road to the mansion so that no one sees the car. And he's going to kill Tanner. And he does. There's I would say this is one of the more gruesome moments in Columbo, because he has killed Tanner by making it look like Tanner hung himself. And the maid comes looking for Tanner, and the maid discovers him hanging from the ceiling. So it's like, oh, bleh. You don't have a lot of those. I don't know what it is, but that's like more, it feels more intense to me. That moment.
Yeah. It's like the Eddie Albert one where he has the Sicario body in the wall.
Yes, totally.
And this was, as David put in his book, Shooting with Columbo, that this was would have, they tried to match it up to the Hangman tarot card that Nikki fell on the ground that the audience got to see after Nikki left the psychic or whatever, the fake psychic reader or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
That was the scene that was cut.
That would have helped connect it.
Yeah, I didn't rewatch the hanging thing to see how that looked.
It's just real brief, but it's enough. Okay, so we are in the last moments of this episode, Paul. I know, it's almost over. So Columbo, the next scene after the discovery of Tanner's body is Columbo on a bench in a park reading the newspaper. And it says, the butler did it. And I love the old man. I don't know if you noticed the old man sitting next to Columbo feeding the birds, smoking a pipe. It's such a great little...
Oh, yeah.
Little detail. I love it.
I think I recognize that guy. Did they put him in the credits?
How do you recognize that guy?
Let's see.
Old man on a bench.
Yeah, maybe not.
Anyhow, go check him out, listener. Go look at the little old man on the bench. He's cool.
Yeah, he reminded me of another actor that obviously I'm the same person.
Yeah.
Peter Falk was probably like, that guy, we got to shoot it with that guy over there.
I mean, seriously, he's perfect.
Yeah.
He's very
he's not an actor, perhaps.
He's legit. He's a legit bird person.
It's like some of the, do you ever remember Kids, the Larry Clark film?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, remember the guy, the guy going down the subway saying, I have no legs, trying to get change for him, but I have no legs. Yeah, like that guy. He's for real. I think a lot of the Larry Clark or Harmony Korine, some of the mix there, they use non-actors.
Yeah, totally. This guy is a non-actor for sure. So one of Inspector Dirk's officers comes to get Columbo, get him to the airport, but Columbo is upset. He's frustrated about the way this case has played out and doesn't believe it. And it dawns on him. Oh, he notices in the newspaper that the Wax Museum is having their grand opening today. And so he's like, we have to go. We got to go to the Wax Museum. So Columbo has created a little plan in his mind, and they take off for the Wax Museum, where they're greeted by Inspector Dirk, and Nikki and Lily are also there to see the grand opening. And so this is the big gotcha scene where Columbo points out that a broken necklace of pearls might end up leaving a pearl in an open umbrella. And he opens the umbrella of Sir Roger, and there's a pearl in there. And it's such a funny little moment. Lily doesn't really say anything at first, but Nikki starts losing it again and starts...
Poor Richard Basehart.
Yeah, he starts talking all kinds of nonsense. And so then Nikki sort of confesses, like, we didn't mean to, and she basically gives them away in that moment. And we learn that actually, so Nikki and Lily get taken away or whatever, and Dirk and Columbo are reflecting, like, Dirk is like, that's crazy, Columbo. There's no way a pearl would have landed in an umbrella. How did you know there's going to be a pearl in there? And Columbo reveals his little trick of being able to flick something at somebody a few feet away from you, because he used to do that as a boy in school. And so he was able to flick a pearl into the umbrella while they were all gathered around.
Does he say Pinnacle? Pinnacle? The game?
I don't
Maybe not.
remember. But one of the deleted scenes, learning this from shooting Columbo, was that actually Columbo was going to accidentally flick the pearl into Miss Dudley's cleavage. So going back to that little subplot about Nikki being kind of icky towards Miss Dudley. But luckily somebody had the mind to say, let's not end it on that. No, let's have him flick the pearl into this goblet.
Yeah. Did you remember the line when they go to the club where they're like, "Why do you think we don't have women here?" or something like that? Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit of that in Columbo, which we've talked about before, I think. But I think they made a better choice here in the end to not.
Yes.
I mean, I think they could have dropped that whole Miss Dudley storyline completely and it would not have hurt the quality of the show at all. But, this was 1972. Yeah, that's almost 40 years ago. So.
Yeah, well, that Miss Dudley, that's the one that he likes, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so he comes in at the beginning.
Yeah,
he comes in at the very opening
hugging
scene,
her when she's sad and all that.
Hot and heavy towards her. And then there's a couple other moments. Well, we did it, Paul. I think we went through that episode there.
We sure did.
Well, let's move into the wrap-up here. So in our wrap-up, we like to give a rating, and then Paul usually has some trivia questions for me. So let's do our rating first, Paul, on a scale of 1 to 10. Where do you think you would put this one? Or do you want me to rate first? Either way is fine.
You go first.
Okay. So I thought about this a little bit because, going through it again, I definitely appreciated this episode more, but this is not an episode that I would rewatch normally. And there's a couple of reasons. I think there's not as much of Columbo's, magic, which is this sort of slow, pestering, observing. We get a lot less of that. And like we talked about, a lot of the shots were done in a studio, and they had some of that studio feeling, and made the film more gray overall, which is kind of like the color. And there was not enough eating and drinking. So I think I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10.
Liz, how could you?
What?
Yeah.
That's where I am. I'm sticking with it.
This one was cool. It reminded me of, I don't know if you remember, we went to the Wax Museum in London in 1980, so you would have been 4. Is that right?
Or
3?
3. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I always remember going there, but I don't remember much about it. I just remember, that I had liked it, and then I saw pictures of us there, even though this is in the studio in the United States. But it did make me think, and we went several years later, but it made me think of history, but it was like, in retrospect, like watching it all the way through, I really enjoyed it. I got a DVD of this from Videotheque, so I could project it. Just so I was curious to see how it would look.
Oh, cool.
And they shot with a British crew, and then for the exteriors and stuff. And so they had 2 different crews. So Harry Wolff was the American camera person, and Jeffrey Unsworth, who shot 2001. With John Alcott ended up shooting Kubrick's, like the next 3 films for Kubrick. So there's a lot going on. It's like, it reminds me of The Bad News Bears Go to Japan or something. It's like you take the Columbo, Fish Out of Water, if that works for this, and putting him in this situation that's different. So it's like this, he goes to Japan in this one. It's great. Or he goes on the boat ride, right? The vacation boat ride one, the tour or whatever. Or doesn't he go to Spain in another one? For
Mexico.
Mexico, yeah.
And he goes on a cruise.
Yeah, so this it combines all of these things of what people do, like our parents. Well, we lived in Germany, but we would go camping in London. We go camping everywhere. So there's a sort of fondness for me for that. Yeah. And that sense of that's what, people going places in Columbus, his excitement seeing all the stuff, and people still have that excitement going to Vegas or wherever,
Oh, it's true.
And so constructing a story within that, and then Levinson and Link always wanting to pay sort of an homage to John Dixon Carr, Agatha Christie, sort of, they kind of tried to do it with this, and this definitely has so much humor. There's so much wonderful stuff to it. But yeah, I'd have to give it probably like a B-.
Well, what is that on a scale of 1 to 10, Paul?
It's just 80. right?
Oh,
79?
Yeah. An 8.
An 8, yeah. An 80. Yeah. It's an 8. Sorry, Liz.
No,
it's an
see,
8.
this is great. This is great. This is one of the differences between you and me watching this show is that you come at it from more of an outsider, but like outsider to Columbo, but insider to films. And so you can appreciate more of the nuances, whereas I come at it from like a hardcore Columbo fan who just wants my Columbo the way I know him. You know, he's like my companion, my comfort show. So when things are off the out of the normal pattern, for me it's a disappointment, but for you, you can really appreciate that. So I think that's great. It's good that you have a different perspective than I do, so I can appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I think the idea that considering like all the players they got with this, like I was mentioning, Jeffrey Unsworth. I remember reading. I was reading over during COVID. I was in a hotel for 2 months, and I had a lot of books with me at the time. And one of them was Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick, Arthur C. Clarke, and the Making of a Masterpiece, Michael Benson. And I remembered when I looked up Jeffrey Unsworth, the British director of photography for this, I was thinking, I think there's a passage in there that's really interesting. And during the making of 2001, which was Kubrick's most ambitious film in terms of how much time he spent on it and with the people that worked on it, NASA people, Arthur C. Clarke, there's a page, it says, so one of the producers and the Unsworth were making their way to lunch in the MGM restaurant, and the producer saw Jeffrey Unsworth looking down, and he said, "Jeffrey, why so deeply contemplative?" And Unsworth considered the question for a moment. He said, Roger, if anyone had told me 6 months ago that I had anything of any substance to learn about my profession at this stage of the game, because at this stage of the game, he had done a ton of film. He was 56 years old, and he was one of the top British cinematographers. And so that was in the late 60s, right before this episode. He says, I would have told them they were mad. I have been a top British cinematographer, top man for 25 years. In fact, though, I have learned more about my profession from that boy in there in the last 6 months than I have in the previous 25 years. He's talking about Stanley Kubrick. He is an absolute genius. He knows more about the mechanics of optics and the chemistry of photography than anyone who's ever lived. He stopped and he turned to look at the producer in the eye and he says, "Are you aware of this?" So anyway, he went on to win Oscars. He did Cabaret with Bob Fosse. He did Superman. He did Tess. He won an Oscar for Tess. The inner scene. It's called the Internecine Project. I've seen it. It's James Coburn, Lee Grant. Really good film. It's like a spy. It's weird. It's hard to predict the way it goes. It was good. Murder on the Orient Express, which is Agatha Christie. I think he won an Oscar for that. And it has the same sort of, it's called military gauze. It's something that he employed with his films. And you can see it in the scenes like outside of Scotland Yard when they're outside. There's sort of a muted haze. It sort of balances out what you're looking at. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he used it for the show, but I'm guessing he did. You can really see it in Murder on the Orient Express. Anyway, I didn't watch this and think of too much of the camera work other than the exteriors of London when they were there, because the studio stuff always kind of changes the feel of stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's so much put into the film that I feel like I want to look at their work and their effort, because you feel like that they had to have been just doing the best that they could for Dean Hargrove, for Peter Falk, so it's a small amount of time, right? It's not Stanley Kubrick. It's not Steven Spielberg, shooting for 2 months or whomever. And so considering, because I've done some very, very low budget stuff. And sometimes they just, well, like one time in particular, I had 4.5 weeks to edit a film, and it was a big budget film for me, but I was proud of the short amount of time of work I did. I wish I'd had 2 months to edit, but I didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't want me to, they're like, we need it this point and you're done. And then they were done with it. And they give it to the colorist and the mixer, blah, blah, blah. And so I feel like I'm trying to just look at the bright elements of the amount of time that they had to do this thing, as part of it. So it's easy to give it that kind of rating sometimes, I think. Like it's not hard for me, but I kind of get what you're saying too. I mean, I do get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's easy to get.
Yeah. It's different. Yeah. It's great. It's, we each have our, the things that we appreciate, and that's the spice of life, right? Variety. Right?
Yeah. And Honor Blackman, I had seen Goldfinger. She played Pussy Galore, and I watched.
Yes.
Yeah, that was she's always said that was a not a Bond babe or whatever. She held her own with Goldfinger and James Bond, and she had a fleet of women that knew how to fly, and she was in control, in charge of that. That was her thing. I watched this movie with Charlotte Rampling and Gabriel Byrne. It was pretty good. The direction was good, and she has this scene. The movie's from 2013, and she plays an older woman. Older woman getting out, going on these dates, like say, meetups, elderly people meeting up who are single. Mm-hmm. Charlotte Rampling plays this character, but she sees Honor Blackman in the bathroom, and Honor Blackman's putting on lipstick, and she says, "You need to get out there, girl," or something like that. But the movie's dark. It's very disturbing, and it's a kind of a mystery. But looking at her career, it's like she never stopped. She was in Color Me Kubrick, loosely based on this guy who pretended to be Stanley Kubrick in the 90s, and he ripped all these people off because nobody knew what Kubrick looked like. Oh. I mean, they had seen a picture of him without a beard from Spartacus days and stuff, but he was so reclusive. So this guy would trick people into saying, "I'll hire you," and he would try and sleep with different, all these different people and get away with it, building up tabs. And John Malkovich plays this character. I forget his name, and it's a very funny film. She plays this lady in a rich house, and it's kind of like Clockwork Orange, the way they shoot it. Anyway, it was great to sort of read or really seeing her work, like I love that. Yeah. And she's so funny in this. It's so good, and like she's scary too. Mm-hmm. Not too scary, but
a little scary. She's a little.
Yeah, no, it's.
All right, Paul. Well, do you have some trivia questions for me? Do you have some guessing, true, false?
Yeah. So Sir Alfred Lloyd Wright was our dad's was one of his favorite actors to watch.
Grandpa?
Yes, Grandpa.
Paul, how would you know that about Grandpa? That's such a little factoid. I'm going to say true.
How would I know that? You sure?
I don't know. Okay, no, I want to say false. It's false.
False?
Yes.
It's false.
Yes.
But you know what? Yes. He reminds me of Grandpa. Like in his, Dad would disagree, but he reminds me of Grandpa. But
really?
a little bit, yeah. Maybe in the way he looks, but he did like the Beatles.
Yes. You mean Wilfred? I think he said Alfred.
Or Wilfred. What's Lloyd Wright, the guy from Buck Rogers?
Wilfred.
The butler.
Oh, yeah. It's Wilfred something, right?
Yeah.
Is it Lloyd Wright?
Wilfred Hyde-White. Hyde-White.
There we go.
The tax thing.
Hyde-White, not. Okay. Yes. No, you're right. He totally looks like Grandpa, or has some similarities, I should say.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I didn't know what he ever liked watching. I knew he liked the Beatles because we would listen to the Beatles, and he would comment like, "Aren't these guys good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, these guys are good." That's all I got, though. I was going to try and do something with the Wax Museum for you, but
that's okay. Hey, I got it right.
Got it right.
Full success tonight. I love it. Okay, well, we'll add these books and movies that we referenced to our show notes. And we would like to thank Maxime Gervais for our theme song.
Thank you, Maxine.
Columbo. Thank you so much, Maxime. You can Google him if you want to hear more of his music. And this podcast is edited by John Guarenas. Thank you,
Thanks, John,
so much. If you'd like to add to our conversation, please email us. We love hearing from you. Our email is trenchcoatcigar, all one word, @gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram. We are at trenchcoatcigar. And if you could give our podcast a rating and review wherever you listen, that really helps our show and it helps more listeners find us. So go ahead and rate and leave a review if you can, wherever you listen. Paul, just one more thing.
What?
Thanks for listening.
Yay! Yay!
Yay!
T'avais un plan sans faille, pensez à chaque détail. L'inspecteur Colombo pensera toujours en dehors de la boîte. Toujours un cousin qui a eu un lavoto, qui a fait de la moto, qui a gagné à l'auto. Dès le premier coup d'œil, dès les premiers mots, sur le crime se resserrent les taux de l'insecte.